A vector is an ordered collection of elements of the same data type. We can create vectors using the C function. We have several types of vectors in R: logical, integer, numeric, complex, and character vectors. We can perform various operations on these vectors as well. Let's start by creating a vector called primes. Primes will be a vector consisting of the first 5 prime numbers. So we use the C command, C open bracket, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. So if we look at our environment tab, we have the value primes. It's a bunch of numerical values, and it consists of the values 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11. Okay, what about a logical vector? Well, I'm going to create a logical vector, and I'm going to assign it to the variable logical. So maybe it's true, true, false. Okay, so we've created a variable logical. It's of form logical, of type logical, and consists of the values true, true, and false. Let's create 2 more vectors. I'll create a vector that I'm going to call evens, consisting of the first 10 even numbers. And we'll create one called letters, and that'll consist of the first few letters. Okay, so if we look in our environment tab, again, we've got primes and evens. They're both numeric type. We've got the vector logical, which is, again, a logical vector. And we've got our letters vector consisting of characters. Okay, what can we do with these? Let's determine the length of a vector. So we're going to find the length of our letters vector. Turns out we've got 5 letters in there. Let's concatenate 2 vectors. We can do that by using the C command, essentially making a vector consisting of 2 vectors. So let's put the letters vector together with the evens vector. So you can see here we've got A, B, C, D, E, and then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Notice, however, that my numbers all have quotation marks around them, meaning we've converted that from type numerical to type character. We can do other basic arithmetic. We can, for example, multiply a vector by 3. Maybe I'll multiply my primes vector by 3. And so you see that multiplication is done component-wise: 3 times 2, 3 times 3, 3 times 5, 3 times 7, and 3 times 11. I can divide a vector by 2. So let's take my evens vector, and we'll divide that by 2. And you can see that, again, division is done component-wise, and we end up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Next thing I'm going to do, let's add my primes vector to my evens vector. Now, before I hit enter, it's important to remember that my primes vector is only 5 units long, and my evens vector is 10 units long. When I hit enter, I get a vector that's 10 units long. So what happens here? On my primes plus even line, I get the first 5 primes plus the first 5 even numbers. The next 5 numbers are the last 5 even numbers, or the next 5 even numbers, plus the first 5 primes. So we recycle the primes vector in the second part of the evens vector. If I want to reference a particular element in a vector, I can use square brackets to do that. So if I want the third element in my primes vector, I type in primes square bracket 3. If I want my whole primes bracket except for the third element, I can type in primes square bracket minus 3. And you can see there I've got 2, 3, I skipped 5, 7, and 11. If I reference an index for a number that I don't have, so for example, maybe I want to reference the 10th thing in the primes vector, knowing full well that my primes vector is only 5 units long, it'll give me an error. If I want to reference multiple things in a vector, I might want to reference, for example, the second, third, and fourth even numbers. I can just type in a vector into the square brackets, and out will pop the right even numbers, right? The second, third, and fourth even numbers. An easier way to do that would be to use the colon operator. So evens, square bracket, 2:4 will give me that same output. If I want to duplicate some of the numbers, I can create a vector and type in the numbers that I want in the order that I want. So maybe I want 2, 3, 3, and then 2. And so I get the second, the third, and the second even numbers. So 4, 6, 6, 4. I can also put my logical vector inside the primes vector. And what I get is, again, anytime we've got a true for our logical vector, we output the number in the primes vector. And anytime we get a false in the logical vector, we skip that number in the primes vector. So our logical vector was true, true, false. So we should get the first and the second numbers in the primes vector, 2 and 3. We skip 5 because that's a false. And then we recycle the logical vector again and get true and true. So we see the 7 and the 11. Play around with vectors on your own and try some of the different commands that are at the bottom of the tutorial for you.